Life got a way of teaching you lessons that no classroom ever could. You can read all the books, chase all the money, impress all the people, but until life knocks you down and makes you rebuild from the dirt, you don't really know nothing. The OGs, the ones who've been through pain, love, loss, success, regret, they move different. They walk slower, talk wiser, and they don't waste time proving points. Because they learn the truth. Wisdom don't come with age, it comes with reflection. So today, I'm going to share with you some of those lessons, the kind that change how you move, how you think, and how you live. Once you learn these, you'll never be the same. They say time don't wait for nobody, and the older you get, the truer that hits. When you're young, you think you got forever, like every day is another chance to start over. Every mistake can be fixed later. But as the years start moving faster, you realize that later never really comes. It's always now. And once a moment passes, it's gone. No receipts, no refunds, no rewinds, you can make $1 million back. You can rebuild your body after it breaks. You can regain energy after rest. But time, once you lose it, it's buried for good. See, people talk about chasing money, but money ain't the real currency. Time is. You trade your hours for dollars, your energy for validation, your focus for distractions. But ask yourself, what's the return? You can spend your whole life investing your time into things that give no value back. That's why old folks move different. They don't rush to every invite. They don't argue about every little thing. They don't chase everything that glitters. They know every yes costs them a piece of their life, so they choose carefully what they say yes to. I remember one of my OGs told me, stop treating your minutes like they cheap. At first it sounded simple, but it cut deep. I had to sit with it. Cause truth is, most of us live like time is unlimited. We spend hours scrolling through feeds, comparing our journey to someone else's highlight reel, or complaining about situations we never planned to change. We wait for that perfect moment, that perfect alignment where everything feels right before we start moving. But that perfect moment doesn't exist. Waiting is the slowest form of dying. You ever notice how when you near a deadline, you suddenly find focus? That urgency pushes you to do in one day what you avoided for months. That's what time awareness does. It wakes you up. The most successful people ain't always the smartest or the richest. They're just the ones who respect time the most. They know how to squeeze meaning out of every minute. They show up early. They stay locked in. They don't let small talk steal their purpose. I used to waste whole days around people who had no vision, just vibing, talking circles, no growth. And it felt cool in the moment, but I'd go home empty, no progress, no peace. That's when I learned if it doesn't grow you, feed you, or free you, it's not worth your time. That line became a filter. Every call, every plan, every opportunity, I asked myself, does this move me closer to what I'm building, or is it just noise? And I'm not saying cut everybody off or move like a robot. Life's about connection too, but you gotta be intentional. Your time is energy in motion. Whatever you give it to multiplies. Give it to gossip, you'll multiply drama. Give it to learning, you'll multiply wisdom. Give it to your craft, you'll multiply success. The choice is yours. Think about the people on their deathbeds. None of them ever say, I wish I worked more hours, or I wish I had more followers. They talk about time wishing they had more of it, wishing they spent it better. That's because time reveals what truly matters. Experiences, love, peace, legacy. Not the things you buy, but the memories you make. Sometimes I think about how quick a year goes by. You blink and it's gone. The plans you said you'd start next month become the regrets of next year. That's why I started treating time like a partner instead of an enemy. I don't chase it anymore. I collaborate with it. I move with purpose. Every morning I ask myself, what's one thing I can do today that'll make tomorrow lighter, that keeps me grounded? And the truth is, time respects people who respect it. When you start valuing your hours, you attract opportunities that match that vibration. You'll start seeing how people treat you differently too. The moment you stop being available for everything, you become valuable to the right things. Your energy shifts. You go from being pulled in every direction to moving with alignment. I learned this the hard way, wasting time chasing validation, proving points, trying to fix situations that were already broken. I thought effort could save everything, but sometimes saving your time is the lesson. Not every argument needs a response. Not every invitation deserves attendance. Not every plan deserves participation. You got to guard your time like it's treasure, because it's exactly what it is. But look at how the world operates. Everything is built around time, deadlines, calendars, clocks, appointments. Yet the only thing we truly own is this moment right now. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, just right now. The question is, what are you doing with it? Because every minute you spend distracted or doubting yourself is a minute someone else is spending building their dream. There's a saying that goes, the bad news is time flies. The good news is you're the pilot. You control where it goes. You can crash it on meaningless things or fly it toward your purpose. But either way, time's moving, with or without you. That's why discipline matters. You don't need motivation every day. You need respect for time. Some people say they don't have time to chase their dreams, but they got time to binge shows, scroll online, argue with strangers, or complain. The truth hurts, but it's simple. It's not that you don't have time, you just not using it right. Every great change starts with small moments of decision. Every success story is built from consistent hours invested wisely. And I get it, life's heavy sometimes. You can't always be productive. You need rest. You need space to breathe. But even rest is an intentional use of time. It's choosing recovery so you can keep moving forward. That's different from wasting time. Rest refuels. Wasting drains. The difference is purpose. Once you start respecting time, everything around you starts to level up. You stop forcing what's not meant for you. You stop chasing temporary highs. You stop living on autopilot. You start prioritizing what truly feeds your spirit, your growth, your peace, your vision. That's where fulfillment lives. I remember this old man from my neighborhood once told me, son, the clock don't stop just 'cause you do. That line hit me years later. Life keeps moving whether you're ready or not. The world won't pause for your fear, your doubt, or your procrastination. Every second that passes is proof that time don't care about your excuses. You either evolve with it or get left behind. So I started moving with urgency, not desperation, but intention. Every hour, every day, I ask, what am I building that'll outlive me? Because legacy ain't about how long you lived. It's about how well you used your time while you were here. And that's the truth about time. It's the only real currency. Everything else is temporary. What you do with it determines everything you'll ever have and everything you'll ever be. So spend it like it matters, because it does. Pain is one of those things that nobody can dodge. It don't matter who you are, how much money you make, or how careful you move. Life gonna test you. Sometimes it hits you quiet, sometimes it hits loud. But it always hits, and when it does, it shows you what you're really made of. That's the real separation between people who grow and people who crumble. It ain't the pain itself, it's how you respond to it. Some people let pain turn them bitter, others let it turn them better. See, when you're in the middle of it, pain feels like punishment. It feels like life picked you out of the crowd and said, yeah, I'm gonna make it hard for you. You start asking questions. Why me? Why now? What did I do to deserve this? But as time moves and you look back, you start to realize pain wasn't sent to destroy you. It came to develop you. It came to peel away everything fake, everything weak, everything temporary, and reveal the truth underneath. That's why I say pain don't break strong people, it builds them. I remember losing people close to me, the kind of pain that don't fade overnight, that hollow feeling in your chest, the silence in the room where they used to be. For a while, I was angry at the world. I couldn't see any reason behind it, but later I understood that pain taught me value. It made me cherish time more. It showed me love ain't promised tomorrow. It made me softer where I needed to be and stronger where I had to be. And then there's the pain that comes from failure. When you put your heart into something and it falls apart anyway. Business losses, broken trust, dreams that didn't unfold the way you pictured. I've been there too. You question your worth, your talent, your purpose. But here's what I learned. Every failure leaves a clue. It's like a teacher. It don't yell. It just gives you a lesson wrapped in disappointment. And if you humble yourself enough to study it, it'll guide you to a better version of yourself. Pain has this strange way of cleaning your vision. Before it hits, we think we know what matters. Status, comfort, approval. But when you're hurting, none of that stuff means anything. Pain makes you strip life down to what's real. You start valuing peace over popularity. You start realizing some of the things you were chasing don't even fit the person you're becoming. It's like a reset. Fire can burn a forest, but that same fire also clears space for new growth. Pain works the same way. It burns away your illusion so your truth can grow. I've seen people try to avoid pain their whole lives. They stay in safe jobs, safe relationships, safe habits. They call it peace, but really it's fear. Because to grow, you gotta get uncomfortable. Pain is the toll you pay on the road to greatness. You can't skip it. Every athlete, every artist, every leader, every parent, they all got stories of struggle. You don't learn strength from comfort, you learn it from resistance. When I hit rock bottom, I thought that was the end, but now I see that was the foundation, because once you've been broken, you start to understand how to rebuild, and this time you build better, you build stronger, you build smarter, you build with gratitude. Rock bottom gives you a different kind of hunger. It teaches you discipline, it teaches you patience, it teaches you to stop expecting life to be easy and start learning how to be equipped. Sometimes the most painful experiences are the ones that give you purpose. You'll go through something that hurts so bad you swear you'll never smile again, but one day someone else will be going through that same pain, and your story, your survival, will give them hope. That's how pain turns into power. You stop being a victim and become a vessel. You start seeing your scars as proof you survived what was meant to bury you. And it's crazy how pain changes your empathy too. Before you suffer, it's easy to judge people. You think, I'd never do that, or they should have known better. But after pain humbles you, you stop talking like that. You start understanding, you start listening. You realize everybody fighting a battle you can't see. That's how compassion grows. That's how wisdom forms. People think healing means forgetting what happened, but healing ain't erasing, it's evolving. It's taking that hurt and letting it teach you something valuable. You learn to forgive not because it excuses what happened, but because you deserve peace. You learn to let go not because you stop caring, but because you start choosing yourself. You learn to love again not because you forgot the pain, but because you learn love is still worth it. When you shift your mindset and start seeing pain as a teacher, you stop running from it. You start sitting with it. You start asking, what are you trying to show me? That's when transformation happens. You begin to notice patterns, the same mistakes, the same reactions, the same lessons dressed in different faces. Life keeps sending you pain until you learn what it's trying to teach. Once you do, it don't hurt the same anymore. You outgrow that version of yourself. I used to think strength meant hiding your pain, staying quiet, acting tough, pretending nothing fazed me. But real strength is honesty. It's being able to say, yeah, this hurt me, but it didn't end me. It's having the courage to feel, to cry, to rebuild. It's looking your pain in the eye and saying, you taught me, but you don't control me. That's growth. That's freedom. Some of the most beautiful people I've met been through the ugliest situations. You can see it in their eyes, that calm, that patience, that depth. They don't rush life, they don't crave attention, they don't hold grudges because they understand how fragile it all is. Pain taught them appreciation. Pain taught them perspective. You can't protect yourself from every hurt, and you shouldn't want to. Every chapter of pain adds weight to your story. It gives you depth, authenticity, truth. And once you realize that, you stop fearing pain and start respecting it. You start using it as fuel. You stop letting it close your heart and start letting it open your mind. So when pain comes, and it will, don't run from it. Sit with it. Learn from it. Let it strip away the things you've outgrown. Let it teach you patience when you want control. Let it show you strength when you feel weak. Let it break your ego so your spirit can rise. Pain ain't the punishment, it's the process. It's the fire that turns gold pure. Because the truth is, pain don't come to end you, it comes to evolve you. It's there to make you sharper, wiser, more grounded. Every scar you got is proof that pain visited, but didn't conquer. And if you can look back at all the moments that once broke you and say, I'm still standing, then you already learned the lesson. Pain was never your enemy. It was your teacher all along. Your circle can either be the reason you rise or the reason you fall. It's that simple. The old folks used to say, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. And that line still rings true every single day, because the people you surround yourself with shape the way you think, the way you move, and the way you see the world. You can't build an empire around people who think small. You can't grow into your purpose around people who don't believe in growth. Energy is contagious, whether you realize it or not. When you're around dreamers, your vision expands. Their conversations spark ideas. Their ambition makes you uncomfortable in the best way, and their mindset challenges your limits. But when you're around doubters, you start second guessing yourself. You start playing it safe. You start shrinking to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. You start losing that fire that once pushed you. That's how powerful energy is. It can either be fuel or poison. When I was younger, I thought loyalty meant sticking with the same people no matter what. I thought it was about history, not direction. I believed that because we came from the same place, we had to end up in the same place. But life taught me that loyalty without growth turns into a prison. You can't stay loyal to comfort and expect to grow. You can love people and still outgrow them. You can wish them the best and still understand they can't come with you where you're headed. There came a point in my life where I had to ask myself some hard questions. Are the people around me pushing me to be better, or are they pulling me back to who I used to be? Do they clap when I win, or do they get quiet when I start leveling up? See, some folks love you as long as you stay the same. They love you when you're struggling, when you need them, when you're accessible. But the moment you start to grow, they start to feel threatened. Your evolution exposes their stagnation. That's why your growth journey can feel lonely sometimes, not because you're losing people, but because you're finally finding yourself. And that's not easy. Cutting ties or creating distance doesn't mean you think you're better. It means you've recognized that the version of you that existed in that environment can't survive in the one you're trying to build. You can't elevate surrounded by people who only understand your old habits. The same energy that helped you survive won't help you succeed. I learned this the hard way. I used to keep people around out of guilt. I didn't want to seem like I was switching up. I thought being real meant being available to everybody. But I realized that being real means being honest about what serves you, what drains you, and what aligns with your purpose. You can't pour into your vision if your circle keeps poking holes in your faith. You can't stay focused if your environment is full of distractions disguised as friendship. You ever notice how your mindset shifts depending on who you're around? You might talk about business with one group and then waste hours gossiping with another. That's proof that energy is transferable. If you spend too much time around negativity, it'll seep into you without you even realizing it. Before long, you'll start seeing the world through their fears instead of your faith. That's how potential dies, not from failure, but from influence. The people around you should be mirrors that reflect your best self back to you, not your worst habits. They should remind you of your standards when you start to lower them. They should speak life into your dreams when the world tries to drown them. They should celebrate your wins, but also hold you accountable when you're slipping. Real friends don't just comfort you, they correct you. They want to see you rise, even if it means you shining brighter than them. I remember one time I was going through a rough patch, doubting my next move. I had people around me telling me to play it safe, stay comfortable, don't risk it. And then I had one friend who said, bro, if you fail, at least you failed chasing something real. That hit me. That one conversation shifted my whole mindset. That's what I mean when I say your circle is fuel or poison. One voice can ignite your purpose or kill your confidence. And it's not just about success or business, it's about peace. Some people drain your energy just by being around them. You leave every interaction feeling tired, heavy, uninspired. That's poison. Other people will leave you feeling motivated, understood, and recharged. That's fuel. Protect your peace by protecting your circle. You can't control everything life throws at you, but you can control who you share your energy with. You don't need a big circle, you need a solid one. Quality over quantity. A few real ones who understand your vision are worth more than 100 people who only show up when it benefits them. Look at your circle and ask yourself, who's really growing? Who's really learning? Who's really trying to build something lasting? Because if your friends ain't growing, chances are neither are you. Growth sometimes means walking alone for a season. You'll have to make peace with that, because in solitude, you start hearing your own thoughts clearer. You start being influenced by opinions that never paid your bills or carried your pain. You start realizing that you don't owe everyone access just because you've known them for years. Time spent together don't equal value added. Eventually, when you align with your purpose, you start attracting people who match that frequency. You meet folks who speak the same language, not in words, but in energy. They don't question your ambition, they understand it. They don't get jealous of your growth, they get inspired by it. They don't compete with you, they collaborate. And that's what real alignment feels like. And here's the truth, if your circle isn't challenging you, they're limiting you. If everyone around you is comfortable, nobody's growing. You need people who make you think bigger, who hold you accountable, who remind you of your potential when you forget it. Surround yourself with visionaries, doers, believers, people who make you uncomfortable in a way that forces you to level up. Because your circle will always reflect your standard. If you hang around complainers, you'll start finding reasons to complain. If you hang around builders, you'll start finding ways to build. You become what you surround yourself with. So choose wisely. I've seen too many people with talent go nowhere because they stayed in the wrong circle. They had dreams, but their environment kept pulling them back to mediocrity. You can't fly if you're surrounded by people afraid of heights. And sometimes love blinds you to loyalty. You love people so much that you accept being held back by them, but love without growth is just stagnation. So don't be afraid to evolve past your environment. Don't be afraid to outgrow conversations, habits, or people. It's not disloyalty, it's destiny. Because at the end of the day, your life is a reflection of the energy you keep close. Your circle is either feeding your fire or suffocating it. And once you understand that, you stop settling for anything that dims your light. You start surrounding yourself with those who remind you who you are and who you can still become. Because in the end, your circle shapes your story. It determines how far you go, how high you rise, and how much of your potential you actually live out. So choose people who reflect the person you're trying to become, not the person you used to be. That's how you make sure your circle is your fuel, never your poison. There's a saying that always stuck with me. If you don't own it, you can't control it. That simple truth applies to everything in life. Your time, your thoughts, your emotions, your work, your money, your choices. Ownership isn't just about property or business. It's about accountability. It's about standing on your own 2 feet and saying whatever happens in my life, I'm responsible for it. Because the moment you give someone else control over your outcome, you give away your freedom. Too many people out here renting their lives out. Renting their energy to other people's opinions, renting their confidence to social media validation, renting their purpose to a job they hate just to survive, renting their peace to relationships they know are draining them, and every time they do, they lose a little more of themselves. Because when you don't own your direction, life starts driving you instead of you driving it. You wake up one day and realize you've been living on someone else's terms, chasing someone else's definition of success, building someone else's dream. Ownership is deeper than material things. It's spiritual. It's the moment you decide that your happiness, your growth, your next move belongs to you and you alone. You stop waiting for permission. You stop blaming the system, your upbringing, or your past. You stop saying, I can't because of them, and start asking, what can I build with what I've got? That mindset right there is what separates people who rise from people who remain stuck. I remember when I first started understanding what ownership really meant. It wasn't about money, it was about mindset. I used to think success was getting paid by someone else, being chosen, being noticed. But then I realized if someone can give it to you, they can take it away. Real power comes when you own what you create, when your vision, your income, your growth, and your peace are in your hands. That's when you start moving different. That's when you stop begging for opportunity and start building your own. See, when you don't own your emotions, people can manipulate you. They can push your buttons, trigger your anger, control your mood. But when you own them, you become untouchable. You move with calmness, not reaction. You stop giving people the remote control to your peace. The same goes for your thoughts. If you don't control what's in your mind, the world will fill it for you. They'll feed you fear, doubt, and limitation until you forget what's possible. Ownership means protecting your mental space the same way you protect your possessions. And when it comes to your time, that's the first thing you need to take back. People waste years doing things that don't align with who they are because they're scared to lose comfort. But here's the truth. Comfort is rented. Purpose is owned. You can't rent your way into freedom. You got to build it. That means saying no to what doesn't serve you, even if it pays well. That means walking away from anything that doesn't add value to your spirit. Because ownership always requires sacrifice. You can't own your life and still live by everybody else's expectations. I've seen people blame the world for their situation, their boss, their family, the economy, the government, and some of that might be real, but blaming don't change nothing. Ownership does. The moment you take full responsibility for where you are, you also take full power over where you can go. When you say it's on me, you stop waiting for rescue and start preparing for results. That's when your creativity wakes up. That's when you realize you don't have to ask for a seat at the table. You can build your own. Every successful person you look up to has one thing in common. They own something. Their name, their art, their hustle, their brand, their decisions. They built something that couldn't be taken from them because it came from within them. That's the difference between working for a dream and working for survival. When you own, you decide. And when you decide, you're free. But ownership also means owning your mistakes. Too many people run from accountability because they think it exposes weakness, but accountability is power. When you can say, I messed up, but I learned, you take control of your growth. When you can say, I failed, but I'm still moving, you turn losses into lessons. That's ownership too. Not just taking credit for the wins, but also for the setbacks, because you can't master what you won't admit. Owning your story means embracing every chapter, the wins, the pain, the growth, the ugly parts. It means being real about where you've been and proud of how far you've come. Too many people hide behind filters, trying to look perfect, when their truth is what's powerful. When you own your story, nobody can use it against you. You turn your past into a platform. You inspire others not by pretending to be flawless, but by proving that flaws don't define you. Ownership is the ultimate freedom because it puts the steering wheel back in your hands. It means you control your destiny, not the system, not the critics, not the circumstances. Even if you don't start with much, you start with your mind, you start with your drive, you start with your faith. You start with that small idea that can grow into something bigger if you nurture it. That's ownership, building brick by brick, even when nobody claps, even when nobody believes. And yeah, it's hard. Ownership is heavy. It means you can't point fingers when things go wrong. It means you have to show up even when you don't feel like it. But the reward is peace. Because when you own your journey, failure doesn't scare you. It educates you. Setbacks don't define you. They refine you. You stop chasing approval because you understand validation don't pay your bills or feed your soul. Ownership makes you self-sufficient in every sense, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially. There's a certain confidence that comes with ownership. You walk different because you know what you've built can't be taken away. You talk different because you don't need anyone's permission. You think long-term instead of short-term. You stop reacting to everything and start planning. Ownership gives you vision. It gives you stability. It gives you identity. But here's the thing, ownership doesn't mean isolation. It doesn't mean doing everything alone. It means choosing collaboration over dependency. It means working with people without giving away your power. You can partner, you can share, you can build together. Just don't lose control of your vision in the process, because the moment you give up ownership, you give up direction. So whatever it is, your mind, your craft, your peace, your purpose, protect it like it's sacred, because it is. The world will always try to convince you to trade ownership for comfort, but freedom only lives on the side of responsibility. You can rent status, you can rent fame, you can rent attention, but real freedom, real fulfillment, that's owned. And that's the truth most people never realize until it's too late. Freedom don't come when somebody gives it to you. It comes the moment you stop blaming and start building. The moment you take full accountability for your time, your actions, and your path. That's when life starts bending in your favor. That's when you stop living on lease and start living on purpose. Because ownership ain't just about what you have, it's about who you decide to become. Gratitude is one of those things that sounds simple, but it'll change your whole life if you really understand it. In a world that's obsessed with what's next, the next car, the next bag, the next win, the next follower, gratitude is what keeps you grounded in what's now. It reminds you that everything you've been praying for might already be in front of you. We move so fast chasing what we don't have that we forget to appreciate what we do. But the truth is, happiness don't live in the future, it lives in the moment. And gratitude is how you find it. I seen people with nothing, sleeping on floors, working double shifts, living check to check, still smile like they had everything. Their peace didn't come from what they owned, it came from what they felt. And on the other side, I seen people with everything, money, status, recognition, still empty inside, still restless, still chasing something they can't name. The difference between the two ain't what they had, it's how they saw it. Gratitude don't change what you have, it changes how you see what you have. That shift in vision, that's power. See, when you start practicing gratitude, you stop looking at life like it owes you something. You start realizing that every breath, every meal, every sunrise, every lesson, even the painful ones, is a gift. It's easy to be thankful when things go right, but real gratitude shows up when everything feels wrong, when the bills piling up, when people switching up, when life feels unfair, and you still manage to say thank you for another day to try again. That's strength. That's alignment. That's when life starts responding differently. Gratitude changes your energy. When you wake up and say thank you before you complain, you start seeing life through a different lens. You notice blessings where you used to see problems. That job you hate becomes a reminder that you still provided for. That breakup that broke your heart becomes a lesson that taught you your worth. That delay that frustrated you becomes protection that saved you from something not meant for you. Gratitude turns struggles into strength and moments into miracles. It shifts you from victim mode to victory mindset. There was a time when I was always focused on what I didn't have yet. I was grinding, chasing, comparing. I thought peace came after I reached a certain level, but when I finally started slowing down and appreciating where I was, what I had already built, who I had around me, how far I'd come, everything changed. I realized success without gratitude is just pressure. You can have everything and still feel broke inside if you never stop to say, I'm blessed to be here. Gratitude gives your grind meaning. It makes you rich long before the money comes. You ever notice how the universe works? It rarely gives more to people who never appreciate what they already got. If you can't handle small blessings with care, why would life trust you with bigger ones? Gratitude is like unlocking the next level. The moment you start appreciating the little wins, that's when the bigger ones show up. The more thankful you are, the more reasons life gives you to be thankful. It's like energy. What you put out, you attract. I remember hearing an old man once say, gratitude is the rent you pay for being alive. That hit me different because when you look around, there's always something to be thankful for. Even on your worst day, you're still breathing, you're still learning, you're still becoming. Some people didn't get that chance today. And when you understand that, complaining starts to feel like disrespect to the blessings you already have. Gratitude don't mean settling or giving up ambition. It means moving with peace instead of pressure. You can still chase success, still dream big, still want more, but you do it from a place of abundance, not lack. You stop saying, I need this to be happy, and start saying, I'm already blessed and I'm open to more. That small shift changes your entire vibration. You go from chasing to attracting, from struggling to aligning. Because gratitude and growth can't coexist. One fuels the other. I've learned that grateful people see opportunity everywhere. They don't wait for perfect conditions to feel blessed. They find light even in dark rooms. When something goes wrong, they don't ask, why me? They ask, what is this trying to teach me? That's how you keep evolving. Because life will always throw tests your way. But gratitude keeps you calm in the middle of chaos. It reminds you that storms don't last forever. And even rain helps things grow. Sometimes gratitude is as simple as stopping for a second and realizing how far you've come. Think about it. The problems you have now might be things you once prayed for. The job that stresses you used to be the opportunity you begged for. The people in your life now are the kind of love you used to dream about. We get so focused on climbing that we forget to look down and see how high we already are. Gratitude brings that awareness back. It grounds you in appreciation while you keep reaching higher. And gratitude also makes you more compassionate. When you start seeing your blessings clearly, you start wanting to share them. You stop moving with envy and start moving with empathy. You stop looking at someone else's success as a threat and start seeing it as proof of what's possible. Gratitude kills jealousy because you realize everyone's path is unique. You start cheering for others, not because you have to, but because you genuinely feel full. And that's real wealth. Not the kind that sits in a bank, but the kind that lives in your heart. I used to think flexing was about what you could show, the car, the watch, the designer, all that. But the older I got, the more I realized the real flex is peace. The real flex is waking up without bitterness, going to sleep without regret, smiling even when nobody's watching. The real flex is knowing that you're content even while you're still climbing. Gratitude gives you that peace, because when you focus on what's right, what's wrong loses power over you. You can't fake gratitude. You can post about blessings all day, but if your heart's full of complaints, the energy won't match. Gratitude is lived, not performed. It's how you treat people, how you talk to yourself, how you show up for life. It's in the quiet moments when you take a deep breath and realize you made it through things that were supposed to break you. That's real gratitude. That's real strength. The crazy thing about gratitude is that once you start practicing it, you start noticing blessings you used to overlook. The way the sun feels on your skin, the random call from someone who cares, the small wins that remind you you're growing. Life starts to feel richer, not because it changed, but because you did. Gratitude doesn't give you a new life. It helps you see the beauty in the one you already have. So every morning before you reach for your phone, reach for your peace. Take a breath and say thank you for the breath, for the lesson, for another chance to try, because life has a way of rewarding those who appreciate it. The more thankful you are, the more reasons life gives you to be thankful. Gratitude ain't just a mindset, it's a lifestyle. And once you start living it, you'll realize it's the real flex all along. So when the OGs speak, listen. They not preaching, they warning. They already walked through storms you ain't seen yet. These lessons ain't just quotes to post, they survival codes. Protect your time. Embrace your pain. Choose your circle. Own your life. And stay grateful through it all. Because once you really learn these lessons, you won't chase the same things anymore. You won't fear the same losses. And you'll move through life with purpose, peace, and power. You'll never be the same.